probably still reads the newspaper. I don't know about that, but I'd be willing to bet that he does that. And speaking of reading the newspaper, it's time to give me the headlines presented by Hyundai. And we'll start with the Washington football team. This one came late in the pod here for such a big win and a disappointing result off a bye for the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers lose to Washington 29-19.
Yeah.
What's your headline?
Drunk on Heinicke, baby.
Oh, there we go. 256 yards, career high, 81% completion percentage.
Yeah.
And a win.
And a win.
In a great final drive. 19 plays, 80 yards, over 10 minutes against a dominant Super Bowl winning defense from a year ago.
It's not dominant in that way right now.
Yes.
It's not. Now, they still have the potential to be. But, I think you look at it, Washington, good game plan on the offensive side of the ball. Washington's got a pretty good O-line, so they weren't overwhelmed by the Bucs defensive line at any point in the football game. Of course, Tampa and Brady made some mistakes early on in the football game that, of course, helped Washington out. There's no doubt about that. Washington, I think we had a good first drive, right? They got a field goal. Brady throws the interception on that drive, the first pass. That wasn't his fault to Darden. Ball pops in the air, interception. That leads to another field goal. And then I think a few plays later, Brady throws an interception that was his fault down the middle, which was just a bad read and a bad throw. I don't know really what he was quite looking at it there. But then Washington gets a touchdown there, and you're going, oh, wow, okay, wait, it's 13-0. Like 13-0 in the NFL, that's not going to be easy to overcome no matter who you are. And you saw, I think the big thing to me with the game, if I just had to sum it up in a few phrases, would be this. Washington's defense didn't give up big plays to the Bucs. In fact, the only big play I can really think of is the Mike Evans touchdown in the fourth quarter down the left sideline, right? That was about the only big play I saw all day. And then the other thing is the Buccaneers, their secondary, their lack of cover guys, Heinicke just picked them apart with intermediate pass completions all game long. And then they ran the ball just well enough to just always keep them in good situations. And that's ultimately led to that drive that you talked about. What was it, a 19-play drive, 10 minutes?
19 play, yeah.
I mean, come on. That was, some smattering of some good runs here and there, but not really. A lot of just intermediate, nice throws by Heinicke. And he kept that drive going and got the win and really put the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah, Washington efficient, scored on their first 4 possessions, got out to a lead, and their defense stepped up against Tom Brady off a bye, who usually, last year that's when they took off.
Right.
And historically, in fact, this is a 10-point loss was the biggest by Brady, a Brady-led team coming off a bye in his career.
Wow.
And after the game, Bruce Arians says, quote, "The stupidity has to go away." He said they're a very dumb team. And he did say that's a reflection on the coaching. He also said they think he can improve and get better.
Yeah, of course.
But he called them a very dumb team.
Yeah,
Oops.
Hey, they got a little bit of a renegade, personality about them. I don't know if I necessarily looked at anything dumb that they did yesterday.
Yeah, 2 interceptions by Brady.
2 interceptions, right? I know he threw the interceptions against the Saints, so certainly weren't good. So he's not seeing the field or playing his best football right now. And again, they're missing some weapons. Gronk's a game changer. The greatest tight end in the history of football, he affects the games. Antonio Brown affects the games. And this is, to me, these last 2 games, again, and this is why Tom Brady's not a top 5 quarterback at the age of 45. I'm sorry. In these type of games, if the offense doesn't deliver, Brady doesn't deliver much. All right, he doesn't make any plays off schedule. He does nothing.
Oh boy.
So no, I know the haters are going to come out, but you got to put it into realistic things here. We got to put it. He's still got Godwin and Evans and a really good offensive line, and it wasn't perfect. And he's making mistakes, and he makes very little plays off schedule. That's why he's not a top 5 quarterback. Deal with it, everybody.
5 turnovers
still
during
really
the
good.
2-game losing streak for Brady, and he is having issue at home versus on the road. I think we have some numbers that indicate that. So at home this season, perfect 4-0, 18 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. On the road, 2-3, 9 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions.
Yeah, so they lost to the Saints yesterday and the Rams game right on the road. Those were all, some games, yes, that Brady did not play his best football. I'm not panicked. I'm not panicked about, Tampa Bay. I'm not.
No.
if they get healthy here and
Seems
everything,
like
they're
it.
still got too much talent on their football team, and Brady will get back on the right track.
Vita Vea, sprained MCL, bone
Okay.
bruise, won't miss much time.
That's good.
So that's what we're hearing
That
there.
was huge.
Chase Young, that seemed bad. I don't
know.
I don't know if we have more news on that, but that seemed like that could be
I know they fear
serious knee
ACL,
injury.
and again, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not trying to make any proclamations, but that does look like one of those that's like one of those non-contact. He made a cut, and the knee went on him, and feel for him. So hopefully he gets better soon. And hey, listen, other thing too here, I know they won 19-29. Horrible penalty right before halftime by the Washington defense that gave the Bucs the field goal with no time left.
Yeah, face mask on the tackle.
Right, exactly. And then, it was 23-13. They throw a first down throw, and the wide receiver fumbles, right? What was it, Malign? Or I'm not sure if I say his name the right way. So, again, it just showed you, like, Washington, getting those turnovers early kind of controlled the football game. It was never a point where you were like, I thought the Bucs were going to come back and win. I'm not going to lie.
Me too.
But I never at any point was going like, oh wait, Washington's really being overwhelmed and out hit, and like they're barely hanging on here. I didn't get that sense. I did think the Bucs would come back and win, but Washington played a good football game, all the way through.
Good for Washington. Good for the Eagles, who beat the Broncos 30-13. Your headline for that game.
Oh, hold on. I got to flip to that page there. Sorry, I'm a little slow.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, this is a good one.
Uh-oh.
Teddy B.
Yeah.
As in B for business decision.
Okay.
Okay.
You're talking about that turning point in the game. The Darius Slay, big play Slay, picks up the fumble. It was a 4th and 1 for Denver. They were down a touchdown, aggressive going for it. If they can get that, maybe they go down, tie the game.
Right. It's 20-13.
In one play, though, you fumble, and then Slay goes 83 yards the other way. There were a few players that had a chance to tackle him along the way. One of those, perhaps, Teddy Bridgewater, and he decided to not do that.
Not do that to such an egregious way that I thought, did he think the play had been blown dead? It was that bad. That to me.
Or it was against the rules for him to touch Darius
I don't
Slay?
know. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they would have flagged Darius Slay. Who knows, though? They would have been like, you hit the quarterback too hard. We got to give the ball back to the Broncos. He ran him over. I don't know.
They asked Teddy Bridgewater about it after the game, and he said that he was just trying to force him back inside.
He's going to lose a lot of respect in the locker room after that. I can just tell you that.
You really
no
think
doubt
so?
about it. Listen, they're smart. Like, the team can get around smart, like, okay, yeah, he didn't throw his body out here and like do something like stupid. We don't need that. We don't need him headhunting like we saw Baker Mayfield hurt his shoulder against Chicago early in the year. They can understand that. But first off, it's Darius Slay, who weighs 190 pounds. All right, you're bigger than him, and it's a huge moment of the football game. You just got to get in the way and let him trip and fall over you. That's all you got to do. It's just, you're going to get run over. So what? That's a bad look. And as bad a look as I can remember. Again, I don't know what else to say. I know that was a total business decision, and that's going to be a tough one to sell on the rest of the team. It's a huge moment of the game, just to me there. Again, I don't know. You hold them to a field goal. Maybe they don't score a touchdown. You're still in that, but that kind of put the nail in the coffin. It was night from there on out.
And the story really is outside of that play for Denver. The story is Philadelphia and how dominant they were offensively and defensively. Because I think they held Denver, who lit up Dallas the previous week offensively here. But it was Jalen Hurts in the first half, 15 of 20, a couple of touchdowns in the first half. And then he only attempted 3 passes in the second half because that run game was so good. Goes over 200 yards, 40 attempts. Third game in a row, the Philadelphia run game has gone over 175 yards. And so are we seeing a team gaining steam and going to be a problem for teams down the stretch?
Oh, on my Thursday Picks podcast, this was one of my upset alerts. I'm mad I didn't pick it. I am. But I looked at it and I said, this is a game that there could be an upset. Don't look at the records here. Philadelphia is onto something. They are on to, my assessment of what they do. First off, I think their defense has changed a little bit here to stop being so like bend, don't break. They're not giving as many easy completions, or I'm hoping as we go forward here, right? But I think all in all, the offense and what they're doing on that side of the ball is clearly the new driving force for their football team. It's all going through the running game. They've gotten away from, let's stop trying to be Phillip Rivers with the Chargers offense, which, of course, is where their offensive coordinator's from. And, of course, he was from, their head coach is from Frank Reich, who was involved in some of that, too. Like, let's stop doing that. Jalen Hurts isn't Phillip Rivers. Let's play to his strengths and the strengths of our football team. First off, they have a big, overpowering offensive line, right? And Hurts is a gifted runner at the quarterback position. He's got real speed and strength, and they're playing to that. And that, to me, has changed them. I think what we've seen the last few weeks is run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, play action pass, or take a shot to Devontae Smith. That's a tough combination to beat. And they got a few game plan design runs with Jalen Hurts every week, let alone they're just staying patient with the run. And they're like one of those teams I'd go, like we said with Carolina earlier, I'd go, don't count Philadelphia out yet. They continue to play this way. I think they're better than the Atlanta and Minnesotas of the world that are a little above them right now in the rankings. I think their team has more potential and more talent than those two football teams.
Compass Traveler says, self-scout thyself, Jalen Hurts' progress. And you said at the beginning of the year, you're like, maybe I was too low on Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But it does seem like now it is him, right? Great runner, but they're playing to his strength.
They're playing the right way on the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, they stopped trying to, put the round peg into the square hole there with him a little bit and stop trying to, like I said, make him Phillip Rivers of the Chargers. That's not who he is.
Yeah.
So that's what's good.
Has he moved up significantly in your eyes or no?
Well, listen, I mean, 3 weeks ago, every Eagles fan in the world and the Eagles radio people were like, you're right about he's not a top 40.
Well, the beginning of the year, they go, you're wrong.
Right, the first game of the year. And then it became, I think you're right. And now the last 3 games, and I'm going to go, listen, he's good. If they play this way, that's great.
Yeah.
They got to play this style of football, though. This is what fits them as a football team and makes sense. So I like that aspect of them, and it gives them a fighting chance, and I think it plays to their defense, and, of course, it plays to their strength of their offensive line, which is one of the best things they got going for them.
Fletcher Cox, a guy you like a whole lot, 7 quarterback pressures in the game just by him alone. Davian Taylor had a couple forced fumbles as well, including that one for the Darius Slay 83-yard Teddy B business decision. I got to pull it up here as I look through this. Like, what were his stats yesterday? Hurts, here we go. 16 for 23, 178, 2 touchdowns. That's exactly what it should be. Basically all in the first half.
But it's all right. It's the way it should be. To me, that's when they are going to be their best. I want to look at the week before, the Chargers game. They played good on 11 for 17, 162 yards, 1 touchdown. But they ran the ball for 176 yards. The week before that, they had the Detroit win, right? I just want to look one more time, just kind of like reaffirm my own brain and what I'm thinking about here. But 9 for 14 for 103 yards, right? But they ran for 236 yards as a total offense. So, again, smart football. They're doing what's right for their football team, and they're doing what's right for Jalen Hurts.
And finally, doing what's right for their fan base, the Detroit Lions didn't lose. In fact, they didn't lose for the second week in a row. And that brings us to our headline right here, which is buy and tie. So I tweeted this. I go, historic 2-game undefeated stretch for the Lions, buy and tie. I guess it's a 2-week stretch. But so they haven't lost for a couple weeks in a row. But to be honest with you, as a Lions fan, this was as depressing as a loss, I felt like. The end of that game was so bad, where whatever team had the ball had less of a chance to win than I felt like the defense. Like, I felt like it was a better chance that a defense was going to score or set up a short field for a field goal. It was rainy. It was terrible conditions in Pittsburgh. Ben had COVID. Jared Goff didn't. He played, though. It was just like the first tie of the season. It was a mess at the end of the game. Probably no team, no fan walks away from that game feeling any good.
No.
Lions, Steelers, 16-all.
No, it was ugly. I mean, it was ugly weather. A game that I expected the Steelers to kind of win ugly. It was one of those where did not expect a lot of points, but I expected like a 20-13 Steelers victory. That's what I was kind of looking at this game. And really, it played out that way in a lot of ways. But they just made mistakes at some moments that kind of kept things going for the Lions. I mean, I think the first thing I want to say, am I surprised the Lions ran the ball that way on the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yes, 100%.
229 rushing yards, fourth most allowed by the Steelers in the Mike Tomlin era. And this is a week after that. Dan Campbell said he kind of took more of a role in the offensive play calling, I believe, and so it was like a concerted effort to run the ball. You saw Dan Campbell over there with the big play sheet looking at it the whole time.
Hey, I think Dan Campbell's a good coach.
I love Dan Campbell.
I do too.
Although it did at times look like he was like, I don't even know what half these plays mean. But.
Well, he's probably just like, hey, run that play where we block down and pull the guard and kick the defense.
Do we have one of those plays?
He's probably like that. He comes from the school of Parcells coaching where that's a little bit the way they are. Overseers.
Yeah.
Wait, we can't do this against this team. Let's do that. That makes more sense for us. That's what he is a little bit. Again, I'll say with Dan Campbell, I think almost every game they played this year has been managed the right way, and they maximize what they have as a football team, which is not that much talent. Now, the one thing that they got going for them now, if they got the healthy O-line and Taylor Decker back, their O-line has got some ass kickers on it. So maybe this is something we can continue to see here as we go forward.
Penei Sewell, first 5 weeks struggled. The last 4 or 5 weeks, he's been really good.
Right.
And in this game, 29 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures
There we
allowed.
go. He's back at right tackle, right? Was he back at right tackle yesterday?
I think so,
I'm pretty
right?
sure.
I think they were moving
I'm
him
pretty
back
sure
over there.
he was back over at right tackle. I know. This is where I got to go watch film and see little details like that because I kind of just chalked it up to.
But that was the plan. That's going to be the plan.
That's the plan. It makes sense, But yeah, you look at that group up there; they can move some people. There's no doubt about that. And I think, hey. Mason Rudolph, bad interception. Big punt return by the Lions that set up the first touchdown for them to score. Of course, the drive in the second half where they break the big run to score the touchdown. And then, Pittsburgh turning the ball over when they were getting on fringe territory to kick a field goal a few times, of course, hurt their football team and hurt their ability to kind of, win an ugly football game. It's the same thing we say, just Big Ben wasn't there.
Yep.
Pittsburgh can win every game ugly through their defense as long as they don't kind of mess it up. And they kind of messed it up yesterday.
They're like a poor man's version of the Tennessee Titans right now.
A little bit.
Right?
There's just less offense to talk about there. But hey, positives for them. They ran the ball pretty good with Najee Harris and stuff. They're staying patient there, doing some good things. But yeah, they don't have a lot of room for wiggle room, I should say.
Yeah.
And they can't make many mistakes, or you'll see, just like with the Bears game last week. They were kind of controlling. They fumbled the punt. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, we're hanging on for dear life. So that's just the way they are, and that's what to expect from them.
Sonny Liston 123 says, Chris, seriously, how is Mason Rudolph still playing professional football?
Thank you.
How is he given the opportunity when there are younger, better, more athletic players out there? And this is interesting. There was a NFL Network reporter that tweeted out after the game. Spent warm-ups throwing lousy. About Dwayne Haskins here. Spent warm-ups throwing lousy passes and checking his phone. Ben may not be who he once was, but there's a reason he's your quarterback, Steelers fans.
So that was Dwayne Haskins they were saying?
They were saying that about Dwayne Haskins, because we've talked about him being the future,
right?
And so it's like, why is he not playing, and why is Mason Rudolph playing? And we saw Mason Rudolph's not all that good, and so they don't have the future franchise quarterback there on the roster.
No, they don't. I mean, I still would say Dwayne Haskins has the potential to be that. Maybe we'll see. I said a few weeks ago, listen,
he was checking his phone, though.
It's not a good look. He's immature. That's why they didn't put him out there yesterday. They don't trust him yet. They know that. I mean, what did he do last year in Washington the year before to say you're in the trust tree? We're going to, they want to play a style of football where they want the quarterback not to mess it up. Yeah, he might have a little more talent, but I don't think he's trusted to that capacity quite yet. So that's a real thing. There's no doubt about it. Listen, I said a few weeks ago to Paul Burmeister, I think, to me, Pittsburgh is going to get one of these quarterbacks after the year. They're going to get one of them. I don't know if it's Watson or Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers or whoever, but they're not going to – I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback with this team and go, let's start back from scratch. I don't see that. I would be shocked if they don't make a play. But getting back to that point right there, Mason Rudolph's not good. I've been trying to tell everybody this. Pittsburgh's stubborn a little bit because they drafted him, and, some idiots in the draft evaluation thought he was a first-round quarterback. That I don't know what they were looking at there, but he's not. So they're staying patient to that. But there's too many errant throws. And listen, one of the quiet, weird things that happened in the football game was the field goal. And I wrote this down. They go up 16-13, right?
Yep.
It's 13-all. They go up 16-13. Or no, maybe they made it 16-13, right? Is that what I'm looking at here? Yeah, they made it. The Lions were up 16-10.
Yes.
Mason Rudolph had a third down throw to a wide open receiver in the end zone. I mean, it was a 5-yard throw. He was wide open with nobody around him, and he threw it in the dirt. And they kicked a field goal instead to make it 16-13. I think I got that right there. Sorry for everybody out there. But to me, just says the bigger problems. You just not great power in his arm, loses control of the football. It's got a little bit of a funky throwing motion. And to your point, no, the future quarterback is certainly not there.
That was Give Me the Headlines, presented by Hyundai.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.